Welcome back to Factory Sealed. It is February the 7th, 2015. My name is Eric Peterson. Joining me today is, once again, the one and only Jess Clarkson.
Yes. That was better.
That was?
Yeah.
It was better than insulting you the past two times?
Yep, I'll accept it.
Okay, good. Glad. Back again, Kevin Byer.
How come I don't get some sort of "I'm so awesome" speech?
I did. Back again. You are here again.
Oh, that's it. I'm just here again. Okay, fine.
Do you want to start over and I can come up with something dumb? Or
I don't think you're
dumber?
capable of thinking of anything better than that.
Probably not this early in the morning. Also, joining us today, special guest, all the way from the Midwest, my soon-to-be brother-in-law, Mr. Derek Scable.
Well, hey guys, how's it going? Great to be here, and I won't ask for a fancy introduction or anything since it's my first time.
That was a fancy introduction.
That was a pretty fancy introduction.
yeah.
Okay,
It's
well,
longer than all the other introductions put together.
you know, you can't ask for much on the first time here, so...
Yeah. We can only go up from here.
Actually, it sounds like I can only go down from here from the way everybody else is.
Actually, yeah, that's probably more of the truth. It just gets worse the further in you get.
Well, I look forward to it.
So, we are here doing our inaugural Final Fantasy VIII Disc 1 episode. I feel like we're on a little bit of a roll here because when the show first started, we used to set out to complete really ambitious games, and then we'd get about 30 minutes into them and just forget about them. But Jess and I completed Suikoden last week, and now here we are rolling along quite handily on Final Fantasy VIII, and correct me if I'm wrong, we are all through Disc 1, correct?
Through Disc 1.
Eh?
Oh, wait, Jess! Correct.
I'm through Disc 1. I am finished.
Jess gets the shit-colored star this week.
Yep.
You suck, Jess.
Oh, just wait until you hear about how far I've gone and then determine
Is it
how
farther
shitty the star should
than...
be.
Is it farther than Aaron?
I don't think so. I think we might be neck and neck for that.
Wow. That's terrible.
Yeah.
So, but we got some stuff to catch up on, some personal things. We haven't talked in quite some time. Kevin, how's life?
Life's pretty good, man. Can't complain.
You still distributing the hose?
Yeah, I got a promotion, so I'm got a desk job, so I don't have to strip anymore. So that's good. now I'm the one managing all the strippers below me.
Gotcha.
That's pretty good.
Yeah,
You
can't complain.
really moved up in the world.
Yeah, maybe
Huh.
maybe one or two steps. Then I'll have to kick some people above me and steal their spots.
And before you know it, you'll be the hose
King of the
empire.
world. Yeah, absolutely, king of the world.
Jeez.
Oh,
You
yeah,
get
Hose
free
Empire.
buffet for being the manager? I feel like you would.
A what? A buffet?
Like the free buffets that they have. Are they always free or do you pay for the buffets?
Oh no, you pay for the buffet.
What buffets are you talking
Yeah.
about? Does
At
every
strip
Canadian
clubs.
workplace
No,
just have a
strip-
buffet?
Sometimes they have a lunch buffet, but that's kind of fallen out of favor recently because nobody really trusts stripper lunch buffets.
I was gonna say I don't think I've ever.
All you can eat hot dog buffet with all the trimmings.
There is no part of me that has ever said, you know what, I want to go to a buffet and see people naked at the same time.
I feel like that would be an awesome opportunity, though.
Have the surf and turf, have a steak on Sniffer's Row.
Did they have a buffet at the what was that place we went to in Vegas?
There was multiple buffets.
Sapphire?
Yeah, and they wanted like $400 a seat or $1,200 for a bottle of champagne. This isn't your kind of
Yeah.
establishment, is it, Kevin?
Oh no, we're way more low class than that.
They're the local brothel.
We go pick up the homeless people on the side of the street and say, you want to make a few bucks today? Jeez. So that's it, just a promotion, just living life?
Well, we talked on the Christmas show. That was like not too long ago. Yeah, pretty much. That's the difference.
That's it. I'm proud, Kevin. Way to go. How about you, Jess? What's new with you?
My sister got engaged.
I saw that.
Yeah, I'm very happy about that.
Is that Allie?
Yeah. And that was very exciting. And last night I played trampoline dodgeball, which was terrifying.
Was it gluten-free?
It was. I made sure that it was gluten-free because sometimes they just fill the little wall paddings with gluten, and it's terrifying.
I saw a shirt that I wanted to order for you yesterday. It said, "Shutting the fuck up is gluten-free. How about add that to your diet?"
That's amazing.
I want to get that and wear that around people that I know are gluten-free for no other reason than they're just ignorant about it. That's cool, though. We survived the Super Bowl down here.
Oh, yeah, you were saying stuff about that a little bit.
It was busy. It was pretty busy down here. That's all I have to say.
There was a period of time where we were downtown. They had 12 blocks of downtown sectioned off, and blocks in Phoenix are square miles. So they had almost 12 square miles of just shit blocked off for Super Bowl stuff. And it was just absolute pandemonium and chaos, and hundreds of thousands of people packed in downtown, and bands everywhere, and people just drunk and yelling. And the Seahawks fans were by far the most obnoxious people.
Oh, yes. No doubt there. They won that award.
I can't possibly believe that because New England Patriots are the biggest douche obnoxious team in the world.
No, but they're a higher class douche.
But I will say this. Geographically, it made it a little harder for them to get here. And I think that snowstorm probably helped us a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of deterred some of the Patriot fan base.
There are very few teams that I hate in the NFL, and the Patriots are right up there, along with the Packers, and the Seahawks are becoming another really hated team for me. And so for me, it was cheering for the lesser of two evils. I just can't stand the Seahawks.
I just like the way it ended. I love controversy.
Oh, yeah.
That was great.
How you guys cheated your way to the Super Bowl and then won.
I know. Good for you guys.
They proved that didn't actually make a difference.
It really doesn't.
It doesn't.
But
it makes a huge difference.
But, coming from someone who knows zero about football, I have to cheer for the Pats because my sister's in Massachusetts, and I have to cheer for the Packers because my cousins are obsessed with them.
Are they complete hicks or what? Because that's what Packer fans are.
Oh yeah, it's total hillbillies.
Or obese. One of the two.
I don't know.
I'm from Minnesota, just to make that clear, and I am an avid Vikings fan. So
we're in Canada though, so I don't know if the rules apply. I don't know. Geographically, I don't know either. Like the Packers.
How?
I know they don't share a border with your wonderful nation.
I don't know.
How's the Canadian Football League going?
Nobody cares about the CFL.
What about the Montreal Alouettes? Come on. They have Chad Johnson. They have Chris Carter's son. Actually, he's in the NFL now.
Wasn't Chris Carter a basketball player?
Chris Carter was a wide receiver for the Vikings years ago.
Vince Carter was a basketball player.
Vince Carter.
Oh, yeah, there we go. At least I got the last name right.
Close. Yeah, the Argo cheerleaders hang out at every single event ever in Toronto, but that's basically it.
Alongside Toronto Batman?
Yeah.
Have you seen him lately?
Can we not go there? Yeah, can we just not?
Let's not. That's a dark day in Factory Sealed history. So, well, I suppose we should probably just dive right into this shit because we've got a lot to talk about here.
Excuse you, what about the trip that we were saving for the show that was not?
Oh, yes. Mr. Derek, tell us about your cruise.
Yes. Well, it went on a Caribbean cruise. First time being in somewhere tropical. Hit up Grand Cayman, Jamaica, and Cozumel. I got engaged, so that was wonderful. And that's why I'm officially the brother-in-law to be of Eric now. So it went great.
And that's precisely how they announced it to everybody. My sister called me up when she was back in Texas, and she's like, yeah, we swam with the stingrays, we got some Tortuga rum, Derek proposed, and then we're back in the car. It's like, you don't make a really big deal out of it. You just kind of slip it in there.
That's what we wanted to do. We wanted to see if people caught it,
Well, Eric was just going to bypass that whole story.
Well,
What a good future brother-in-law.
I apologize.
Well, I'm used to it.
He's been living with us now, so he's grown accustomed to the American way. Down here, at least.
The Arizona way.
That's the Arizona entitlement way. So, Disc 1. Let's talk about Final Fantasy, guys. Where do we want to start? Because I've got a lot of questions for Kevin, but I don't know if I want to just dive right into like asking Kev how he's playing. But I feel like that's important because we're all approaching this from a different angle. Jess, this is your first time playing it, correct?
Yes.
Ooh, welcome.
Yes, welcome to the best Final Fantasy in the series.
Thank you.
That's debatable.
It's not.
Continue. Yeah, no, it's definitely not the best.
It is. It is the best, and we'll talk about why it's the best. But Jess, what's your history with the other Final Fantasy games? What other ones have you played?
None fully.
Okay.
Dabbled. That's it. They've always been so intimidating. Like, I feel like they're just super, super intimidating games.
They are big.
So
They're
I've avoided them.
Huge time commitment.
And, like, I don't want to sound dumb, but pretty complicated in the amount of, like, you have a huge amount of control, which can be a little overwhelming, I think, when you're first getting into it. So
I could see that.
I can completely agree. I mean, I played Final Fantasy VII, was the first Final Fantasy I ever played, and I was like, whoa! I had no idea what was going on, so I appreciate your commitment to learning.
Yeah, right? I spent a good time in that desk trying to learn what the fuck
Reading
this
the
shit meant.
No wonder you didn't finish Disc 1. You stayed in school. Fucking loser.
Like, I actually went through the tutorials twice.
Oh, wow.
Twice.
Instead of just
wow.
playing the game.
And
She
seeing the
said to
tutorials as
study.
they come up. Because you're going to have to go through all those tutorials again.
Yeah. That's the shame.
She told me to study. She said, go back to your desk and study.
Let me guess, you did every available seed test as well, too, didn't you?
Well, I'm not there yet.
The seed tests were right there in the desk at the beginning of the game.
No, you
I
have
don't-
to wait.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, till after the Ifrit?
Until you become a CD.
Oh.
I even read about
so-
this stupid ball party dance.
We'll get there. So you're playing this for the first time, and you're intimidated by the learning curve. I can understand this one's probably a little bit more complicated than some of the other ones. The materia system in Final Fantasy VII was just pretty plug and play. This one, the battle system, you've got a lot of control over your different status attacks and your status defense, and your different amounts of magic affect your character stats. So yeah, this one might be a little intimidating to jump in on, and I think that's why a lot of people jump ship partway through, is because they either don't understand it or they just don't want to take the time to learn.
So, best
Well,
Final Fantasy ever is the one that people just stop playing en masse.
Yeah, absolutely. Because they're not willing to be... I'm just going to go to Final Fantasy VII because everybody says that's the best one.
And then they
Have we
play it and they
forgotten-
realize halfway through, man, I'm going to keep playing this one, unlike Final Fantasy VIII. I'm just going to stop playing.
This one's so good, I don't want to finish it.
I just want to leave this one in the case.
It's still wrapped.
There's
But this is coming from hipster Eric. So,
This is total hipster Eric time right now, is Final Fantasy VIII. Like, I liked it before everybody else liked it.
But now that everybody likes it,
It's not
it
cool.
sucks.
Yeah. I didn't like it before everybody else didn't like it.
It's like Taylor Swift, you know? No, I
the
don't
Taylor
like her.
Swift of Final Fantasies. It's really awesome when it first came out because it was niche, and then it got commercialized, and then everybody liked it, and then it started telling everybody to go fuck themselves. Derek, you've played this one before, right?
Yes, this is my second time through. So, like I was explaining to Jess, first time I went through it, unlike Jess, I didn't read all the tutorials, so maybe that would have helped. I don't know. Maybe not. But it was a little bit confusing, but now it's a lot better this time around. I know that drawing more spells will boost your stats further. That was a helpful little tidbit that I didn't figure out till about halfway through the game the first time I played it. So I spent a lot of time since I've played it so far just drawing spells and building my stats and building a pretty good team.
That was like the materia system for me in Final Fantasy VII. I remember getting almost to the end and I couldn't beat it, and I had a buddy come over and he's like, "Do you even know what the hell you're doing?" No, I really don't. I just put colored orbs in and just said, "Hey, let's do this." Like, oh, this one gives me fire. This one gives me magic. And, oh, I can do all attack now. And I just had no strategy to it. So that's half the battle with this one, is understanding the junction system.
And it's a complicated system, too.
It really is. The tutorials don't do it.
I think it can be as complicated as you want or as simplistic as you want. If you just go in and junction all for attack or defense or magic, that's as deep as you really ever need to go, but you're not going to do very well.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the first time I played it that's all I did was just kind of looked at the tutorial, realized that screw this, and just auto fill in everything.
There comes a point halfway through the game where I start doing that too, because every spell that I have 100 of it, and it doesn't frickin' matter. And I just go, all right, here we go, all. And then the only time I switch it is if I'm going into a place that I need a specific status attack.
Those are the only ones I really pay more attention to, are the status and the elemental attachments junctions that you can do.
So I'm playing this for probably the 50th time. To be completely honest, every time I play it, it's like playing it for the first time again, because I can't keep the damn story straight. It's like that with every Final Fantasy. You kind of remember the overarching theme of the story, but you don't remember the fine points, because it'd be like watching a 60-hour movie. You're not going to remember all of it. I mean, shit, I can hardly remember quotes from an hour-and-a-half movie, so...
what happened in the Titanic again?
I think the iceberg went down.
Oh.
But they never let go of each other, so it's fine.
Oh, God.
But I'm playing this game with a different approach. Yeah, I'm still going to play it normally, but I'm playing it with a different mindset where a critical event happens at the end of Disc 1 that a lot of people, when they first play it, just kind of take it at face value. I'm playing it where that alters the second half or the last two discs of the game. So we'll talk about that a little bit later, but I'm approaching it from a different viewpoint, and I'm going to try to see if that conspiracy theory, if you want to call it that, makes sense. But Kevin, sorry if I spoiled it when we first started talking about this, but you can now officially say how you're playing through this game.
Please do, because Eric has been so curious all week. He's like, I can't wait to talk to him.
How the fuck is he doing this?
Has he told you, or has he just been like...
No, I told Derek.
Just very minor details, but...
So I'm playing a no level up version of the playthrough.
It's so fucking ridiculous. I don't understand that.
I just can't.
But how do you even do that?
Well, we were talking about that last night, where I was fighting the sorceress, and I had one of my guides out just because I was looking something up, and I noticed that there was a range for HP, and the bosses level as you level. So if you technically stay level 7,
they'll stay all low HP.
And the bosses don't give you XP.
They don't. They just
give
you AP.
Yeah. So if you just run away from every battle and just fight the bosses, it's really not going to be that difficult.
So pretty much every other Final Fantasy game, the enemies aren't tied to your level. Like if you accidentally go into a different zone where it's way high level stuff, like in Final Fantasy VI, you can wander into stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then the enemies will be way high level, and you'll just get one shot by everything. But in this one, all the enemies level up with you. So because bosses don't give XP, the only place you get XP is the random battles, which you don't even really have to fight.
Yeah, because you get a Guardian Force who you learn a spell with, and you can eliminate random battles, right?
All the random encounters, yeah.
Diablos cuts it in half. Which one eliminates them all?
Doesn't Diablos have another one where you can get 100% down?
After you learn the encounter half, you can learn the encounter none off of Diablos.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what was the strategy? Because you were talking at the beginning about how you had to spend like 6 hours just grinding cards.
Yeah, there's the only bad part about this way to play the game is there's a lot of prep work. So you start the game, and then you get into a couple fights with random enemies, and you draw 100 of 5 different spells off them.
Mm-hmm.
So that took about 45 minutes, half an hour kind of thing. And then you can actually continue with the storyline and go fight Ifrit and get him. And after you do that, you can start leveling up. You can start playing the card game, because now you have cards strong enough to beat other people with. So there's a handful of cards that you need that you can all get in Balam Garden, or that's what it's called, right? Balam
Yes.
Garden. Yeah. That you can get if you play different people in there. And you have to go and get probably, I have probably 1,200 cards
Oh my
at this
God.
point.
Oh my god!
And you only get 1 card per game.
No, you can manipulate that too, because if you go to the second town,
Mm-hmm. You learn a
then
new rule.
You can talk to the Queen of Cards there, and you can get different rules added in.
Mm-hmm.
So the rule that I got was all cards
Take all,
are traded after a fight.
Oh, Jesus.
So, I mean, it's not as time-consuming when you do it that way, but it still is quite time-consuming. It took me about 6-ish hours
Oh, Jesus.
to get
playing cards.
of just playing cards. Yeah, I
6
had
hours to
Netflix
learn
on
how
in the
to play
background,
cards.
and I was just playing the card game for 6 hours.
That's
Can we
crazy.
have a conversation about the card game? Because I had no idea what the hell I was doing.
And
at all.
likewise, it took me a while to figure it out, and I could use some expert advice.
So I played the card game the first time that I played Final Fantasy VIII, and I really liked it, so I played a lot of it. So I had known how to beat it for a while, and then I read through this walkthrough that I'm using to do the low-level playthrough, and it gave a little more pointers, and it made it... they explained it in a way that makes perfect sense. All you have to do to win the card game is narrow in on one of the corners of the map.
Uh-huh.
So either the top left, bottom right, or you know what I'm saying. Build your deck so that once you take that one corner, then there's no way that your cards will be able to be flipped again.
So Ifrit has the 9-9
And then the
in the
two
top
nines.
right, or the
Yeah.
top and the left, so you target the bottom right corner.
Correct. So you defend in the bottom right, and you wait until your opponent, because I mean it's a computer from 1999, so it's not that smart. So as soon as you lock off one of the corners, the computer is going to use the same strategy and try to lock off the other corner.
Mm-hmm.
But since their cards are almost always worse than yours, there will always be a situation where the computer will have one, think of it if... Oh, my alarm clock is going off because we were supposed to start the podcast in 18 minutes.
Thank you for sharing.
So imagine the grid is 1 to 9, where 1, 2, 3 are the top, 4, 5, 6 are the middle. The computer will either go in the 1 slot, and then the 2 slot is its first 2 moves, or it'll go in the 1 slot or the 4 slot as its first 2 moves, if you play in the bottom right corner.
Mm-hmm.
So you play in the bottom right corner, and then as soon as they have their 2 cards like that, in either the 1-2 or the 1-4, you play a card to take the 1 card, the card in the 1 slot, and then all you have to do from that point on is flip 1 card for every card that they flip, and you'll win.
Yeah.
Because that 1 card that you took can never be taken by the computer. So you're already 1 ahead, and there's no way you can... And at least until you get the same rule and all the other crazy rules, there's no way that you can lose if you have that 1 spot taken.
So I feel like the basic of the game is what eludes some people, because they don't really necessarily make it very clear how the cards are flipped.
Yeah, exactly.
So each side of the card...
They do in the rules.
Well, who reads
But-
the rules?
Yeah, if you play the tutorial game and read 16 hours of tutorials,
Yeah,
then
no
yes,
thanks.
you will.
So-
I didn't know the strategies.
See, I was dumb enough to think that there was a top number and bottom number, but the left and right number, I thought that was one number for a while. I'm
So did I. The first time I played the game, I
Why
thought,
is there
well,
such a big space in the middle of that 13?
There wasn't a big space if you look at them from all zoomed out. It really didn't look like it. It looked like it was
That's
one
true.
number. So I was really
or
confused
cards
right away.
with 2 1s or whatever, those are always really close together.
Yeah. What is the thing that I don't remember is the status elements on the cards. So sometimes they'll have wind or they'll have fire or something like that. How do those come into play?
Those are later discs. You can get flip rules based on status. Like fire will flip a water card kind of thing, or the other way around.
Regardless of the numbers?
Yeah, regardless of numbers.
Gotcha. That's what I thought.
But that's way farther.
Yeah. I have been very hesitant to lose some of my really good cards. And then I talked to Derek, and I suddenly didn't feel so bad because all of his really good cards are gone.
I lost them all, and I still thought that middle number was,
Tonberry, Ifrit, and
I lost Tonberry,
Quistis.
Ifrit, and Diablos already.
Oh my god.
Diablos is like the best one.
Well,
How do you get new
if
cards?
you remember
'Cause I'm
who you
missing
lost them
both.
to, they actually
Random
still have it.
encounters. Yeah, true, but I gotta go back to Baum sometime.
But that doesn't mean that just because you play them, that doesn't mean they're going to pull it for their deck.
True.
No, that's true. So it does take a while to get it back after you lose it, but it is still possible.
Yeah, and certain cards, Jess, are you either have to beat somebody and pull it from them, or like Ifrit, you get his card for beating him. Most of the Guardian Forces, you just get their card once you acquire the...
So if you fuck up, and like I'm 0 for 3 for battle, like card fights.
Mm-hmm.
So what do you do? Do you just like, how do you keep...
Okay, take it from me, the guy who lost like all his good cards and had to go back. You gotta acquire some new, better cards, and then just start playing people so you can continue to gain cards as you go. Or the strategy, like Eric said, like a lot of the Guardian Forces have a card that goes along with them. Either it's an ability that you have to learn, or you get it right away just for beating the Guardian Force.
And those Guardian Force cards are usually super powerful, so I just stack my deck with Guardian Force cards and just roll over everyone.
Especially once you acquire like the Brothers cards, you get a Minotaur card and what's the other guy again? Minotaur.
A smaller Minotaur.
Yeah.
I think that's it.
I mean, you get both those.
Sacred is what it's called.
Yeah, and those two, you can block 2 corners with those cards. And so once I got those cards, I'm like, okay, I can start actually playing people again. And now that I've figured out how to play, and since then I've had a lot more success.
Another way you can do it is the main way that I'm able to do the no level up is because when you use the card command that you get from Quetzalcoatl, if you use it on an enemy with low HP, it'll turn that enemy into a card, and you'll get the AP from it, but not the XP. So you can still level up all of your Guardian Force abilities by using the card command, and you still get 0 XP from the monsters.
There's the connection. I was wondering what the connection was.
Do you have to attack those enemies to lower their HP enough, or can you just... Okay, so
you have to attack them at least... You can do it with any percentage of their HP gone, but it's much harder to card them at that point.
So are you constantly saving in case you accidentally kill an enemy and gain experience?
At this point, no, because I figured out that if you have Squall attack with exactly 62 strength, he'll basically one-shot it into a range that you can card it on usually the first or second try. But and the fact that Squall can never crit means that you'll never accidentally kill an enemy.
Gotcha. That's like a really complicated playthrough.
It is extremely complicated at the beginning because after I did all the carding, I think it took me another 7 or 8 hours of leveling up.
Oh my god!
Just with the card abilities.
Wow, that's.
But I mean,
there.
I was doing it while I was watching Netflix and watching sports, right? So it's like you kind of half paying attention because you don't have to pay attention.
Well, it's like when you go through the battle system to draw spells, you just sit there and just hold X.
Yeah, it's just autopilot, right?
Yeah. Because I think the most important thing with regard to the battle system, and I told Derek this, is that when you first start the game, go into options and set your cursor to memory instead of normal, because then every turn your cursor remembers exactly where you were. So if you went to draw and went to that spell and went to stock it, you just hold X and it automatically goes through that.
Oh shit, I have definitely not done that.
You haven't been doing that?
I mean,
No.
you just gotta hold X then and just go
every
for it.
time you've been going up, draw, over, and...
Well, yeah, I mean,
Dude,
yeah, it's
your
whatever.
life's about to change. Go into the menu, go to cursor, and set it to memory.
Yeah, it will be easier now that I know that, but there's not a lot of things that I have to do in the Disc 2 part of the game,
Yeah.
because I'm at a point where I'm just so powerful.
See,
And that's the weird thing about this playthrough, is like I'm level 7, and I have 3,600 health on all my people, and 160 strength on Squall,
Oh my god.
that's
and it's like...
That's ridiculous, because I just finished the disc, and some of my characters still only have 400 health.
No, that's just not even trying.
Yeah, that's not even trying. But there was one battle where I just sat and drew 100 life off of somebody, and I dumped that onto Squall's HP junction, and boom, he skyrocketed up to 2,500 health.
Yeah.
But
But that's the thing, too, because it's like the point of getting the cards is because you can get the card, or the magic refinement abilities. So you turn the cards into items, and then you turn the items into magic.
yeah,
So you can
That's what I did
get
with
like
different-
all these amazing spells from the very start of the game if you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I have 100 Kiragas on everyone. I have 100 tornadoes, 100 quakes. I have
Oh wow.
like all these high level spells where it's just junction to stuff.
so I feel like
And I don't even ever have to cast them because my auto attacks are just one-shotting everything.
I was going to say, I think with that, we should, before we dive into the story and stuff, we should probably talk about the battle system, because that's the one thing that a lot of people get turned off on. Whenever I hear somebody say they don't like Final Fantasy VIII, they say it's because of the battle system. And I understand not everybody is going to like the story to 8. It is a little goofy, especially after Disc 1. It gets a little weird. But I think, hands down, the battle system for 8 is by far the best battle system. It's the most diverse. It's got the most strategy involved with it. And I think a lot of that has to do with the junction system. So,
And I am going to disagree
really, why?
because the junctioning system is cool and it adds a lot of dynamics to the game, but the chances of someone picking up Final Fantasy VIII for the first time today and like not using a walkthrough are pretty slim.
Yeah.
Very slow.
At least in my mind. And the thing about the magic system in this game is you're never rewarded for using your magic. You get 100 of a ability. Let's say you get 100 ultimas.
Mm-hmm.
For some ungodly reason, you have 100 ultimas. And then what are you going to do? Cast an ultima, or are you going to junction it to something? Because you're junctioning it to something, and then every time you cast it, you're making your character weaker for a minimum effect.
I like that, though, because there's that risk and reward.
But there is no risk. Or, sorry, there is no reward. Because
Yeah, there is. If you have all of those spells junction to either your vitality or your HP or your elemental defense, your character is going to be better and defend against that. But if you have to use that spell, you're going to use it, and it's going to hinder your character. But on the other side, it's also going to help you in battle.
But see, I guess if you're not like min-maxing your characters at all, then you can use magic in that way, and it makes sense. But if you're trying to level up yourself as powerful as you can be, your strength is going to be at a point where your auto attack is always going to do triple the damage of your best spell.
Yeah, but there are certain enemies that you may want to use, or like
the flan, for example.
Yeah, the flan.
Let's not forget
Well,
about the
sure,
flan.
for flavored aspects, yeah, I want to cast ice on the fire flan because it looks cool when I do.
Or the thing that I junction the most is life or full life or cure or curaga, and there are going to be points in the battle where you have to use those on your characters. But by doing so, you, in the end, lower your overall HP.
Yeah, somewhat, but the thing is, you can also game the what do they call it? The overdrive system?
The limit break? Is that what it's
Limit breaks, yeah. You can game the limit breaks by keeping your health low on purpose, so that you can use limit breaks all the time, too.
That's true.
So, sure, your spell might have a situation where it's going to do more damage because it's AoE, or you could just keep Squall's hit points at 25%, so he can use Renzokuka in every fight, and just 100% AoE everything down in half a second.
So I think for people who don't know what we're talking about with the junction system, the magic exists in this game, unlike other Final Fantasies, where you go to the store, you purchase fire, and then you either have X amount of uses of it or you have to use MP. With this, all of the enemies carry magic on them, and you can develop a skill to draw that magic. So you can either draw it off of them and stock it, or you can draw it off of them and cast it and use it in battle. All of the Guardian Forces are your big summons within the game, and you can junction those to the different characters. And by junctioning them to the different characters, you get different abilities. So where some might give you the ability to put magic into your strength slot, others give it for your vitality, and some give you elemental defense, and some give you elemental attack. And then from
what
there...
do you mean by vitality? Sorry. Just jumping in, because I feel like...
hit points is obviously your max health. Vitality is your defense against physical attacks, and spirit is your defense against magical attacks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then strength and magic, obviously.
Yeah,
Strength,
increase physical and magic, yeah.
And magic,
and then
respectively.
Each of those slots, once a Guardian Force opens them up, you can junction magic to it, and the more magic you junction to it, the better it increases your stats. And then
also the type of magic you junction to it, because if you, like, let's say you have 100 stacks of Protect and 100 stacks of Fire. Fire is going to do better than Protect is in the magic slot, but Protect is going to do better than Fire is in the spirit slot.
Just like if you junction Life to your HP junction versus Thunder, it's going to do 10 times more.
Yeah, exactly.
And then each Guardian Force has a whole list of skills that they can unlock. So each battle, like Kevin was saying, you get AP off of it. And the Guardian Forces have anywhere from like 15 to 20 different skills that you can unlock. So you can unlock additional Vitality Junction or Elemental Attack or like 40% HP or plus 40% Strength. So you kind of have to play a lot of aspects in order to optimize your battle system.
Mm-hmm. And that's another thing that is cool about the card game too, because the cards you can get, you can refine into items, which you can then use to boost your Guardian Forces. So one of the first things I did was I got the Zell card and immediately refined it and used those items to teach 3 of my Guardian Forces Strength plus 60%.
Nice.
So when you refine a card, do you lose the card?
Yes, it's gone forever.
Where did you get the Zell card?
You get it from Zell's mom after you get Zell in your party.
So I can go back to that town now and get it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can see why people might not like the battle system, but I really, really enjoy it compared to past.
And, you know, I think that's a good example. I think if you're a Final Fantasy enthusiast who's played all the games and you've gone through the traditional, like, go to the store, buy the fire magic, so to speak, I think this is a good, refreshing change of pace. And I can see why people would be interested. But for people like Jess here, who just picked it up and played it for the first time, I think it's pretty confusing.
That's the thing. Like, I really liked the potential that I had. Like, I thought it was amazing how you could really fine-tune every single aspect of the battle and really make it work for your advantage. But I just found that initially it was a little overwhelming and a little too much choice. And I know that you can do auto on a lot of things, and that's what I did.
And for you, that'll get you through the game just fine, as long as you remember occasionally just sit and farm spells and keep a lot of your spells up to 100 and just auto junction attack. You'll be fine. But you know, if you're not taking the approach that Kevin's taking, you're like, I'm just going to get everybody's basic run of the mill attack up to 300% above. There's that element of strategy that, okay, I know I'm going into Ifrit's cave, so I'm going to junction attack spells. I'm going to junction my attack with Blizzard, and if you get, I think they explained it where if you have 50 of them, your attack is 50% magic, but if you have 75 and above, it's 100% elemental attack. Is that right, Kevin?
Yeah, it's... If you have, like, it's all based on the percentage, so where it's 50%, like let's say 50% blizzard damage.
Yeah.
Then the way the damage works is you do 100 damage, 50 of that damage is blizzard damage, 50 of that damage is physical damage.
Yeah.
So, and then after that, your bosses or your enemies' resistances will reduce it further.
And I like that because I like to know. Derek actually opened me up to the concept of scanning every single enemy that you come across.
Oh God, how can you do that? It takes like 30 seconds for the scan animation to finish.
You just said how it took you 6 hours at the beginning of the game to stack cards, and you're worried about 30 seconds here? Come on! And it tells you what you need to know, and it's like, oh, okay. It gives you a better understanding.
He's got you there, Kevin.
Whatever.
There are certain enemies that I won't scan because obviously I know what their weaknesses are. Like most flying enemies are weak to arrow and stuff like that. But
resistant to earth.
It just adds. You can make it as complicated as you want, and you can make it as enjoyable as you want. Yeah, there are ways to game it to make it super easy, but if you want to have an enjoyable, in-depth RPG experience where you're really tweaking your party, I think this battle system gives you the most opportunity to do that. Or
I'll agree with that.
You could just be a huge dick to your entire party and like give all of your guardian forces to one character, so everything unlocks for that one person. And I've been guilty of doing that in the past.
The guardian forces will level up slower then, too.
Yeah.
The more that you have attached. So.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, I think I read that in the tutorial.
So if you have more at your desk in the seed office, if you've got more than one guardian force, it doesn't give you the full AP for the battle for each?
AP, you get full AP for everyone, but because the number of the XP you get also goes to level up your Guardian forces. So all 3 people on your team will get equal experience, and then each of the Guardian forces will get that number divided between them for how many are junction to each player.
Gotcha. Okay, I guess I did not know that. Interesting. So, let's talk about the story for a little bit here, because obviously that's kind of the heart and soul of a Final Fantasy game, and this one gets ragged on quite heavily for being the weakest in the story department. I'm curious to see what you guys think, because I personally really enjoy this, and I rank this as one of my favorite Final Fantasy stories, up there with, now, after having played it, Final Fantasy VI.
The thing I mean, and it's not really a gripe at the story more as it is a gripe about the character design. I think pretty much every character in this game is completely one-dimensional and boring in all aspects.
I could see that.
Like, Squall is a totally one-dimensional character so far. I mean, obviously he's the main character, so he's going to have to start off as an idiot and then grow over the course of the game.
See, I don't think Squall is an idiot. I think Squall is...
He's so... Oh.
I think
he has Asperger's.
Exactly. Derek and I were talking about that. I said, if Squall were to exist in the real world, he would totally be on the spectrum. And
Squall is so quiet, though, that it doesn't give you enough about him. He's so reserved. It's so like...
But they start to dish that out over the course of the game. Towards the end of the disc, he starts to have these internal dialogues with himself. And that's where I feel his character development really exists. Because he's been tasked with being the leader of this ragtag group of idiots. And he also has his own personal ambitions. And he knows that since he's a seed, he's not supposed to question his mission, but internally he's questioning it.
I don't know if it's that he's questioning the mission. I think it's that every time he has like a dilemma like that is because Renoa wants him to do something and he thinks that that's a stupid idea and he wants to do it his way, but he can't because he's supposed to follow the orders of the client.
So let's back up a little bit first. The game exists in a non-traditional Final Fantasy world because a lot of them were like kind of medieval style. This one has cars and modern cities and shit like that. But Squall and his group of people, I never knew how to pronounce it. I've started calling him Seed. I used to call him CD because the D is capitalized, but
I call him CD.
They're whatever. Almost like a PMC, where they're private military corporation that are out for hire.
They're a mercenary group.
Yeah, they're
a mercenary group.
a non non-militarized mercenary group.
They're the Atlas of the Final Fantasy world.
So at the beginning of the game, you jump in with Squall and Cypher fighting each other. Squall ends up in the infirmary, and then it's like, oh, hey, guess what? You got to take your seed test today, and there just happens to be a war going on over in Galbadia. So we're going to send you over there, and you gotta do this thing, and you got to fight them. You got to push the army back, and they come back, and you become
hang out with a puppy.
Yeah, you got to hang out with a dog while Cypher loses his shit, and I lost my train of thought with that.
Sorry, I brought up the puppy.
Yeah,
I just love the puppy. I was very concerned about the puppy's fate.
I forgot to rescue the puppy on the way out.
You can rescue the puppy?
I didn't know that.
How do you rescue
the puppy? You just, on your way, when you're running away during the evacuation, if you just talk to the dog in the same screen, it'll actually give you a huge bonus to your seed level at the end.
Really?
Wow.
Oh.
I didn't know that.
I was too busy running away from that spider boss or whatever that thing was.
I think my seed level was 5 at the end of that mission.
Yeah, I think that's about where mine was too. Yours is probably a lot higher though. Now.
Oh yeah. But even before that, you jump out and before Squall can go on this mission to become a seed or pass this test, he's got to go over to Ifrit's cave. Apparently, this Guardian Force just exists en masse for every potential student, and you got to go. Just go over there before we leave for this mission this afternoon. Just walk halfway across the continent and go into this cave and fight this demon boss, and then come back and we'll send you across the ocean. But what did you guys choose for a time limit for Ifrit?
I chose 10 minutes, shortest
10 minutes.
one.
Yeah, that's what I got.
I think I did 20.
I don't think it really matters, does it?
I couldn't friggin' figure out where the frig that cave was. Also, I spent like...
There's only 2 other places on the continent to go. It's a city or a cave.
Show where north is? I had no idea.
It doesn't show where north is. You can bring up the globe.
To figure out where east was.
If you press select, Jess, you have select. 3 different maps you can look at.
Of course you do.
Yeah, you can bring up a globe, you can bring up a mini map in the corner, or you can bring up the full screen map.
I feel like that would have been in the tutorial.
Yeah.
It was not.
What the heck? Where's this cave?
So, is that how far you made it?
No, I made it to the top of the tower thing.
Oh, well, you're not. The radio tower.
Yeah.
Okay.
But, okay, so on the way to... hold on, I'm trying to discern my notes here. Oh, I was going to ask you, and this may have already been answered, but at the very beginning of the game, when Squall's laying in the infirmary, there's a lady in the mirror who says, "Nice to see you again." And for all of the times I've ever played this, I'm just like, yeah, it's Quistis, because then it jumps over to the Quistis intro scene, and I just put it together that that's not her. And later, when they're in the train, Squall they're in the boat. Quistis is like, "Is everything okay?" And Squall says, "Did you see that girl? Who is that girl in the infirmary this morning?" And Quistis is like, "I don't know what you're talking about."
And she actually comes up again. You rescue her in the training center. She is the girl when you and Quistis are walking out of the training center who needs help.
Yeah, and she just disappears, and these non-garden soldiers come by and they're like, "Come on, we got to go."
Huh.
Do you know what I'm talking about, Kevin?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
You know when after the ball, Quistis and Squall go out to the balcony, and then on their way back out.
I know that, but I didn't know that there was a link between that girl and when Squall was in the...
The only reason that we put it together is because this time I paid attention to how she was dressed. She had that white skirt and the blue shirt and like that green shawl, and that's the girl that you rescue in the training center, and she just disappears, and you don't ever hear from her again after that. But I honestly don't remember that correlation and how that ties into the story. I don't know if she's a bigger player later in the game.
I don't remember either, but my theory is that she is part of the... she is the young lady that Laguna is interested in. The piano player.
So let's talk about Laguna for a second.
Sorry to bring that up.
No,
this
is
jump part of the story.
We're just jumping around, but this is something that I've never been able to make sense of. And if you read a lot of different people's theories, there's no consistent consensus on who the hell Laguna or what his timeline is. So as you're riding the train to, where are you riding the train to? Timber, right?
Timber.
Yeah, you're riding to Timber, and after you've passed your seed mission with Selphie and Zell, you guys go into the train, and you all collapse, and you have this dream where you're Galbadian soldiers running through the forest and fighting enemies, and you're led to believe that Squall is Laguna. He's experiencing the dream from the perspective of Laguna, and Laguna's even more of a bumbling idiot than Squall is. And he's got this love interest who plays the piano at the Galbadian Hotel in Delling City, and he finally works up the nerve to go and talk to her. But when they wake up, everyone has oh, we had this same dream, and Squall says, I dreamt I was a moron. And Selphie mentioned that Laguna was cute, so naturally she was either observing it from a omnipotent view, or she was either Kiros or Ward, and then Zell, I don't think Zell made any comment about it, but what's your take on what this whole thing is? Kevin?
I was just waiting to see who was going to jump in.
Yeah, that was for a second I'm like, did my computer freeze?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about too.
I have absolutely no idea what any of that is. I definitely think that whoever's in your party is jumping into the other people as well, though.
Okay.
That's kind of what it seems like to me, but I have no idea, and I don't remember enough from the other times I've played it to even begin to know if they explain it later on. But
I don't think they do, but I want to say it's something to do with the sorceress.
And that's probably true, because why not?
But it's very clearly explained that, not clearly explained, but it's implied that your experience as Laguna are happening in the past, because this is back before Galbadia took over.
Right.
Where they're they're getting ready to go in and take over Timber. So when you experience Timber as Squall, Timber's already been taken over by the Galbadian army, so you as Laguna know that this happened in the past.
Also, I mean, my theory, just to go back to your original question, which seemed to bring up utter silence, I think that this being in the past, I think what you're seeing right now is a love story of Squall's father and his to-be mother.
I think that's the case too.
I think Laguna has some trace, and just in the picture that you see, I guess, has some. He looks like Squall, or Squall looks like him. So I think that what you're seeing is his father, but I don't know. That's just my theory, and it's been so long since I played the game that I just don't remember.
Well, and that makes sense going back to the lady in the mirror too, because later in the game, they reveal this whole subplot about how all of these people knew each other as children in an orphanage. But Squall still has fleeting memories of his mother. And that could have been his mental representation of his mom. But then that doesn't explain that
chick randomly appearing?
Yeah, the chick appearing in the training center.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to play more to really kind of dig at that one a little bit more.
Yeah, I don't know.
They're interesting Galbadian soldiers, though. They don't wear the traditional helmets. Ward would be dismissed in the U.S. Army for his obesity, and Kiros wouldn't get it in due to his Marfan syndrome either. So I mean, he's kind of tall and lanky, and
all loose jointed. Yeah, that's one thing I don't ever explicitly remember them like, this is what this is, but I'm going to pay attention a little bit more to that. So you go from Seed, or you go from Balam Garden over to Timber, and you and Squall, Zell, and Selphie are tasked with helping the Timber resistance remove the Galbadian soldiers. And basically, you're given just this shit contract that says you're here until they're liberated. And you have to do pretty much whatever they say. So you head over to Timber, and you meet up with Rhinoa and her crew of even bigger idiots. One guy who gets out of everything by saying that his stomach hurts.
Yeah, I that guy pisses me off so much, I can't even begin to describe it.
You got Angelo, the dog with the limit breaks, who somehow, why doesn't he always help them?
Yeah, why don't you just hang out? He's like, oh, just come on, Angelo, you're just trailing behind us.
Angelo, rush.
But when you're in Timber, you kind of uncover this entire plot of the Galbadians trying to team up with the Gardens now. And you kind of pick up that at the beginning of the game, that the Gardens are being a little bit coy about what's happening, because wasn't it...
it's Sid who is showing concern.
Yeah.
And the actual garden workers, they're the ones who kind of silence him, so to speak. You see that in the ceremony where Squall and his team become seeds. And Sid wants to give this big, long speech, and the garden people interrupt him and say, really, we have to speed things along.
You've got business in your office.
Right. And then Sid goes to each one of them and kind of whispers something to them, like what he wanted to actually say. Mm-hmm. I think that's your first sign right there that maybe Sid and the garden workers and the rest of the garden aren't, or Seeds and the garden aren't entirely on the same page.
Well, I think the Galbadian army has probably infiltrated the Gardens, and they're going to start teaming up. Because as towards the end of the disc, you see that the Gardens have like, why are they teaming up with the Galbadian government?
And it also is disclosed that the Galbadian garden is going to be the Sorcerer's headquarters.
Yes.
That is also disclosed.
So when you're in Timber, this is where you uncover all of this at the radio tower. Cypher didn't become a member of Seed, and he's pissed. This guy is a loose cannon. And you're dispatched, and you discover that Cypher is now in Timber, and he's at this at the radio tower, because the Galbadians want to send out this message across the country, and nothing's been broadcast for like 17 years, and the Galbadian president wants to introduce his new government ambassador, who is the Sorceress, and that's where Cypher shows up, and like all the shit hits the fan. Like, why is Cypher here? Cypher attacks the president, and you assume, okay, he's dead because he attacked the president. But in all actuality, he's teamed up with the Sorceress, and that's what kind of kickstarts the rest of the story for the last part of the game. I don't know.
A lot of setup in Disc 1.
Yeah, huge.
I'm the type of guy who likes just to kind of plug and play, but there was a lot of story development here.
Thoughts, Jess? Wait, you didn't make it that far.
Nope.
She made it to the radio tower.
Kev, I'm interested
Saw the puppy.
Your take on like how all this shit's going down.
I kind of get the feeling that because Cypher did have that, he squared off with the Sorceress before that, right?
Yes.
And then she casted a spell on him, and then he kind of became all docile, and they teleported away together.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of thinking that the Sorceress is in control of Cypher, that he's not doing this of his own free will.
See, I think he's doing it of his own free will because he's power hungry, and he didn't get the power that he wanted by being a seed and a leader. So now he's like, fuck this. I'm going with someone who can give me the power that I want. I totally think that he knows what he's doing.
I don't know, because he actively attacked the Sorceress. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, the next time you see him, it's,
standing
oh yeah, we're together. I'm her knight, is what he said.
That's true, because she takes over Rhinoa later in the game. I think after that
Spoilers!
Yeah. I think that whole... that part with Cypher attacking the president is kind of a huge turning point for Squall's character development, because he's kind of this docile moron at the beginning part of the game who's just like, oh, he's just super emo, and he's just kind of existing. Like, the military mentality is just do what you're told and don't question. But when they're riding in the train, they start having that conversation and that come to that realization of, guys, Cypher's probably dead. I mean, he attacked the president. There probably was no trial. They probably executed him. And everybody starts talking about Cypher in the past tense, and like he was he may have been kind of a jerk, but he was a nice guy, and all of these past tense verbs are coming out, and Squall kind of loses it, and he says, to himself, are they going to talk about me this way if I die too? And he freaks out and says, not me. I won't have anybody talk about me in the past tense. And for me, that's a huge turning point in his character and like his drive for the rest of the game, because now he has this internal motivation to better himself and not die.
He's still whiny.
It's the first time he really speaks up and really goes, opens himself up to everybody, I feel. Because before, like when Quistis is just pouring her heart out to him, he's like, are you done?
Yeah.
And now he's like, I'm not going to be referred to as that. And everybody, if you look at the animation on the screen, he's like standing over by the door and everybody else is kind of sitting on the furniture. They like all turn and look at him.
Because it's so out of character for him.
They're just like, holy crap, this guy is serious now all of a sudden. So, I mean, I think it is a pivotal moment in his character development as well.
But there is something between Cypher and Rinoa, right?
Well, it's not really that they're obviously friends, because Cypher was the one who got Rinoa the meeting with Sid.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really ever explain it if they're more than friends, but...
Well, there's a conversation a little later where Rinoa is asked about her relationship with Cypher, and she alludes to the fact that she was in love with him.
They ask her if she liked him.
That's
when she doesn't give a clear answer.
That's when they're in the mayor's mansion, right?
I think so. I don't remember exactly, or maybe on one of the trains.
Okay. So after this whole shit goes down in Timber, you need to get out of town, because they saw this as an attack on the Galbadian president by the Garden. So they suddenly think that all Seed are going to be hunted.
Because Zell is a complete moron.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. He dropped it. He told people that we're from Balam, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're there to assassinate the president, or what it looks like they're there to assassinate the president. The first thing he says is, "No, don't worry, guys. We're from the Garden. It's cool."
Don't mind us. That guy's also from the Garden too, but we're not here to kill anyone. But after that, you got to get out of Dodge. And Kevin, did you finally? I take it you finally figured out how the hell to get out of Timber?
Yeah, it took quite a while.
What were you doing wrong?
Just going the wrong way.
Were you going to the wrong
there's
train
a map,
station?
right?
Oh, going to the wrong train station. I think is the.
I looked
mistake.
because Final Fantasy VII has this really awesome feature, where you can get the little arrow triangle beside the corner of the map that you're allowed to exit on.
Yep.
And in this one, there isn't that. And that's kind of devastating.
Yeah,
I missed that.
Because, the backgrounds and the art in this game are really awesome, but sometimes the backgrounds all kind of meld together and you can't actually tell where the exit is supposed to be.
Well, in Final Fantasy VII, too, by doing that, it helped you find, possible secret ways to go as well. I may not have known that was an exit, but now I do. But yeah, that's the most common mistake, is just going to the wrong train station. But you got to get out of Timber and head to Galbadia Garden, right?
Yes, because you can't go back to Balam.
And after you,
the train back to Timber back to Balam is no longer running.
And that's when you go through another little story with
Round 2 with Laguna.
Round 2 with Laguna. Nothing important really happens other than they jump off a cliff and get in a boat.
Well, you do encounter the Esthar
army
soldiers.
Okay,
that's the first time you see them, and then later
they play a bigger part later.
Remember
in the game.
them,
yeah.
Remember them.
But once you get to Galbadia Garden, there's orders waiting for you from Balam Garden, and it breaks down to essentially, we need to assassinate the sorceress. And you meet your final party member, Irving, who I think is a fuckwad. I can't stand him.
Yeah, definitely I mean, there's a lot of badly written characters in that game, but he is the worst.
Yeah, total worst. He's a sharpshooter that I always assumed he was a seed, but he makes a comment on your mission to assassinate the sorceress. He says something to Squall along the lines of, "Is it true that Seed can't question their mission?" And Squall says, I don't remember what Squall says, but that kind of tipped it off. Like, this dude's not a Seed? Like, why is he on a Seed mission if he hasn't been trained by Seed? Because the mayor tells Rinoa, hey, you haven't been trained for this, you can't go.
Yeah, but isn't it also revealed that that's her father? So, I mean, obviously he doesn't want her to go.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So he's... You head over to Delling City because the sorceress is going to have this huge inauguration parade, and that's when you're going to kill her. You break up into a team. You meet the mayor, and he makes you prove your strength by going to this stupid tomb and recovering a number off of a sword. And
Jess, you can really use the map on that one.
yeah, just remember when you get there, Jess, just only take right turns.
Just right
Tomb
all
of the
way.
Unknowns. What is it called? Tomb of
the
Lost King.
Lost King.
Yeah, Tomb of the Lost King.
I actually want to talk about because that is by far Tomb of the Unknown King.
Yeah, that is.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's what I
that
thought.
is like the coolest dungeon ever.
Yeah, I love the design for that one.
Yeah, because it's a maze, but every time, like, let's say you walk forward through a screen transition and then you immediately turn around and walk backwards.
You're not in the same spot.
No, you are in the same spot, but the map is flipped. So you're looking at it from the top of the screen now, and everything is flipped. So that map, the dungeon itself, is completely first-person perspective. Because every time you turn around and transition to the map, the screen flips so that it's looking at it as if you were looking at it through Squall's eyes.
Gotcha. Yeah, so I always remember getting super confused in there and just wandering around, and that would always be a place when I would play it before that I would unintentionally level up because I'm just trying to get the hell out of there. And then I discovered I'm just going to do nothing but take right turns, and then you eventually get out of there.
Yeah.
And making sure you hit every important thing along the way.
Because you don't have to navigate that entire tomb if you don't want to. But
Yeah.
you're going to miss out on a great Guardian Forest if you don't.
Yeah. So back to Delling City, then you get set up on this mission where Squall and Irving are going to be on the top of this carousel that pops up, and Irving's going to be the one that takes the shot. But you discover that Rinoa, who is this leader of this anti-government rebel faction, is actually the daughter of a top Galbadian general. So
That's messed up.
I don't know if that's a cliche or a tired story trope, but
Well, I mean, it is based on the way that the story is unfolding so far. It does kind of make sense, right? Mm-hmm. Like the president of Galbadia is making an alliance with the sorceress, who a lot of people know. I mean, based on her speech she gave when she took power, a lot of people know that she's an evil bitch. So it kind of makes sense that the top general in the military would be like, "Hey, we gotta take out this sorceress because shit's about to get real bad for us real quick."
yeah, that speech that she gives is strange because she gets up and she basically insults everybody. She's like, "Lowlifes, you miserable scum! You saw how what happened to the person that you condemned as an evil murderer, and here I am. You've elected me to power. Like, what the hell happened with that?"
Well, I'm not sure if it was Sid or I think it was the president of the Galbadia Garden, but somebody had a line that said that she is the type of person who rules through fear.
Okay.
So the whole speech was designed to say, basically, you people screwed up, and I'm going to make you suffer for it.
That's true.
That's the way I read it, at least.
And Rinoa was actually, I think she's the reason that the mission fails ultimately, because she wanted to go and give that Odine bangle to the sorceress. And had she been able to successfully give that to the sorceress, Irvin's bullet would have connected and killed her, and we'd be done with the game.
Game over.
But instead...
Yeah. But I mean, even if she hadn't attempted to go through with... Like, if she would have been locked in the room and she wasn't able to try and get this bracelet to the sorceress, which is a terrible plan to begin with, because sorceress is going to be like, oh, hey, person I've never met before, thank you for this gift that I will put on right now. And
I clearly am going to know it's an Odine magical bangle that weakens magic
it's
powers.
Got the brand name on the side. She's an ancient sorceress who's lived for centuries. I'm sure she has some sort of sense for magical items, but no, we'll just ignore all the logic about this, and Renault is just going to run full tilt and try to, I have a present for you, please take it.
So there's a couple parts, there's a couple things that happen in this part of the game that really make me hate a couple of these characters, especially Quistis. I mean, she was actually getting fired at the beginning of the game. Headmaster Sid is like, yeah, you just don't have the leadership material, and she tells Squall, like, this is my last mission as an instructor, I just don't have what it takes. And she makes it very clear at this point, because she goes off on Rinoa before they head out for their mission, and they get to their post. They have to be at this spot at the exact moment when the sorceress comes through in order for this plan to go through. And she goes, maybe I was too hard on Rinoa. I'm going to go back and apologize. And she leaves her post, and then Selphie's like, hey, wait. And Zell's like, God damn it, women. And he chases after him. And suddenly nobody's there, and then they run into the room and get locked in the room because Rinoa says, screw it, I'm not going to be locked in here by my dad. And she runs out to go meet the sorceress, and all three of these idiots come bumbling in and get locked in.
They didn't see her in the hallway when they ran out.
And they're in
I know, and who's going to set like a 15-second timer to lock your daughter into a room? It's like, hold on, honey, I want you to stay right here, but in 15 seconds, the lock's going to shut, and I'm just going to take off, so, I mean, please don't leave.
It was an elaborate ploy to get you to go through the sewers, which
sucks.
Yeah, the sewers suck.
Yeah, the sewers are devastating.
It took me about a solid 30 minutes to figure out those little, what do you call those?
Water wheels?
Water wheel things.
Oh, yeah, the first room that had a water wheel, I was, like, freaking out, and I'm like, well, where the fuck am I supposed to go?
Oh, it makes it look like you can run back behind it, so I was, like, kept trying to go right, and then you kept randomly encountering enemies, and then it's just a vicious circle.
Well, there's an episode, there's a episode of the Timber Maniacs down there, or there's the Weapon magazine or something, that you have to go a certain way to get it, but if you go over the water wheel to get you out, there's no way you can go back to get it, because once you go over a water wheel, you can't go back over it the other way.
But eventually, and I only learned this because the first time I went through the sewer, I ended up right back where I started. So you can make your way all the way
even
back
after
around.
You get to the end?
Yeah.
Oh.
The one you can push a ladder down, and then it creates a bridge.
Gotcha. Maybe I should go back down there. But then the other thing is, like, Irving sets himself up to be this hardened sniper who's a lone wolf, but he's sitting there trying to mac on all of these girls, and he's like, you know what, I guess it's just the life of a sharpshooter as a lone wolf, and he gets up onto the carousel and he grabs the rifle and he goes and he sits down in the corner to do what you assume to be collect his thoughts. He's like, you pour your whole being into one bullet, and he's getting ready to do that, and as the sorceress gets locked in and this carousel comes popping up, he freaks out. He's like, I can't do it. The rest of the world is going to change because of my one action, and my name is going to be tied to this forever, and I can't change history. And Squall basically, in a kind way, tells him to grow the fuck up and just do this and give us the sign. So basically, I think Squall told him, it doesn't matter if you miss, just fire the damn bullet somewhere, so that's our sign to go forward, because you suck at your job.
He still almost does hit her.
Oh,
it is on aim. Perfect
on point,
aim.
Yeah.
But unfortunately,
she didn't take the Odine
bangle.
I don't know. I kind of think that, like, that shot was destined to miss no matter what.
Oh yeah.
Like, even if the bangle somehow made it on the sorceress, I think the sorceress still would have been able to block it.
Well, it's almost like she threw up an instant protect spell.
Yeah.
But
or that was a spell that was already there. Like, it seems to me that she has contingencies in place. She realizes she's a tyrant, and that the people are going to hate her.
Well, even
she's not just going to stand out in the middle of the street and say, "Hey, take a pot shot."
Well, even when the shot is fired and it misses, Squall immediately does the full assault. And there's people battling in the streets already. It's like, was this planned? Like this big rebellion already? Or
why are the Galbadian soldiers fighting the civilians?
Yeah, that's where I got a little bit confused. I'm like, is there something I missed here or what? But
it was an excuse to have an awesome cutscene.
Yeah, true. It was just Hollywood right there.
So that was the plan. If the bullet misses, they're supposed to attack head on, and the leader is supposed to be the one to do it. So Squall says, "All right, here we go." Jumps out and he runs up to the sorceress, and that's where you fight Cypher and the queen, or the sorceress, which are two of the easiest battles you've encountered in the game to date.
Really not difficult.
Cypher had like 400 hit points, and I think the sorceress had just over 1,000, but they had a ton of awesome spells you could leech off of them.
Yeah, Cypher actually has a real good item too that you can steal if you can get Mug really early, like if you do some farming or whatever and get the Mug ability from Diablos or Ifrit. I don't remember who has
Diablos.
It. Is it Diablos? Yeah.
You gotta get 200.
But yeah, he has some item that is apparently really powerful. I didn't waste the time to get it, but apparently he has something really good that if you farm it, it's pretty useful.
So before I get into how like this event here, let me back up. You fight Cypher, you fight Adia, and at the end of the battle with Adia, she casts this spell and throws this ice shard, and it pierces through Squall, doing what you assume to be a fatal shot. He falls off the float, and boom, the disc ends. This is where I'm taking a different mindset playing the game, because the first however many times I've played this, what happens in Disc 2, I never really paid much attention to it, but the theory that I've been extensively reading on and just kind of thinking about my past playthroughs is that this is Squall's death. Squall dies at the end of Disc 1, and Disc 2 and 3 are nothing but his last moments of life. Your life flashes before your eyes, and it's everything that's happening is in his head. And there's a lot of really interesting things that I never thought about playing before.
I literally just got the shivers thinking of where this is going to eventually come back, and that just blew my mind.
You've never thought about that before?
I've never heard of that theory, because I played the game once and I haven't really put much thought into it. I played it when it came out and just burned right through the game. So I've never even thought of that.
There's a lot of things that happen that start to make sense, and I don't want to spoil that because we got to talk about certain plot points that happen, but that's how I'm going to go through and play it, and it's really interesting. The way that somebody explained it was that they say when you're about to die, your whole life flashes before your eyes, but everything goes in super slow motion. So for us, on the outside of somebody dying, boom, they're dead. But for them, they could experience an entire lifetime again of memories and events and emotions and things that take forever. So there could be this whole second chapter, and it could just be him hallucinating into death, and it makes a whole ton of sense with the final cutscene of the game. So that's how I'm going to play it, and I'm going to view it as, boom, Squall is dead from here on out. He is in the process of dying.
Now that's going to be in the back of my head now, and you're going to absolutely just ruin the story for me because I'm not going to be able to get that out of my head.
That's how I'm doing it. You do your low-level playthrough, and Jess, hopefully you can get to the end of Disc 1 by the next show. Yes. There's a couple things towards the end of the disc that I really, really enjoyed. After playing modern RPGs where, like, take Dragon Age Inquisition, for example. You're walking around and your characters are talking to you as you're just moving, and it's just like this story that develops as you're playing. And they did it in Rogue Galaxy and a bunch of other RPGs where your characters are just interacting with each other and talking, but it's also minor plot development where it's characters developing, sharing their thoughts, and you're getting more insight on it. And I never noticed it before, but towards the end of this disc, Final Fantasy VIII starts to do that as well, where you're walking along and the characters are talking to each other. Squall's having these internal dialogues, and I never really paid too much attention to that before. But like that was a pretty progressive game feature for that time, because I don't think any other RPG had really done that, where you're walking and developing the story and doing things at the same time.
I guess I didn't notice that right off the bat.
Yeah. That's Disc 1, guys. Any other final thoughts we want to dump in before we plow forward through Disc 2?
Do you guys know what your playtime is yet?
I am.
Like, do you remember what you're at?
9 hours and 47 minutes.
I think I'm at...
Jesus.
I think I'm at 12, but I accidentally left it on for a while, so...
Well, you've done a lot of farming, too.
I did do a lot of farming, but I'm pretty sure I left it on for a while that... so some of that time isn't counted.
Yeah, I wonder if you guys will ever catch up to me, just because now the other discs are going to be so much faster for me than they are for you.
True.
What playtime are you at, Kevin?
I'm at like 17, 18 hours, I think.
Oh, God. Disc 1 can be done in like 6.5 hours if you really, really push.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Oh, there is one other thing. Jess, what's your playtime?
I don't know.
There's one other thing that I wanted to talk about. I love the music from Final Fantasy. I mean, my wife and I had Final Fantasy music at our wedding. We had the ending theme from this game, Final Fantasy VIII, as our theme to walking down the aisle, and then Gold Saucer as our recessional coming out. So I pay a lot of attention to the music, and up to this point, all the music had been done by Nobuo Uematsu. But there's one song that recurs consistently throughout this game that's not written by him, and it's by a Japanese singer named Faye Wong, and it's a song called Eyes on Me. And it's the song that, what's her name in Laguna Story? Julie? The piano player.
Yeah, I think so.
It's the song that she's playing, but she can't write lyrics for it. And Laguna and Julie go on this date where he does nothing but talk about himself, and she kind of, for some reason, is enamored with that. And she kind of tosses out this line of, I can't write the lyrics, but Laguna, your eyes give me inspiration. And if you listen to that song called Eyes on Me and listen to the lyrics, it matches up perfectly with what's happening in Final Fantasy VIII, where Laguna's on one side of the bar and the singer is at the piano and they make eye contact, and his eyes give her the inspiration. And it's one of those things that I thought was really interesting. If you don't dig into it and actually listen to the song, you're like, it's just another song that Nobu wrote. So give it a listen. Eyes on Me, Faye Wong. And that song comes up time and time and time again. And they actually play the full version of the song with the lyrics when Squall and Rinoa are in the Ragnarok out in space.
Oh. Well, we'll come back to that then. Eventually.
So, any final thoughts?
You've ruined the story for me, Eric. I'm just so disappointed.
I can't. See, when I read it, it initially ruined it for me too, because I'm like, this is such a fantastic story. I love Squall and Rinoa as these, if you want to use a Shakespearean term, star-crossed lovers, where the relationship is just destined to fail because of all the shit that's happening in their life. But viewing it from this standpoint, I think, is going to change my perspective on it. And I actually like it because it lends a little bit of mystery to it, and there's more interpretation for what's happening. So,
time will tell.
Time will tell. Jess, I know you haven't completed this, but are you intrigued enough with the game to continue playing, or do you think you'll be one of those people that says, I don't like this game, I'm done?
I don't want to be that. Like, I want to give it a little bit more effort and see if it comes, but I can see myself being over the fighting.
Well, I think Derek made a good point earlier when he said that Disc 1 is very, very story intensive, and for those of you who want to play the game and just kind of experience the game and play the battles and like do things well paced, this game doesn't start out that way. Disc 2 and 3 are fantastic for that. There's a ton of exploration and things to do, but you gotta just pound through the first disc.
Disc 1 is very linear.
Yes.
I mean, there are areas to explore, but for the most part, it's very linear.
But just get through disc 1 and the game just explodes and becomes awesome. Especially once you start getting the garden and then you get the Ragnarok to fly around and you start going and going to the island closest to heaven and island closest to hell to level and stuff like that. So
leveling, a bunch of suckers.
Who plays games? So
interestingly, one of the things that I'm going to have to do for some of the later fights, like especially if I want to fight Omega, is I have to get the Tonberry.
Oh fuck!
Guardian
I
Force.
hate that Guardian Force. He's so hard.
He kills
And
him.
I have to use the level down ability that he has to level down enemies further, because some enemies have a fixed level, like Omega.
Yeah.
And so you spend the first bit of the fight just leveling him down until he's level 1. And then you just one-shot him, basically.
Tonberries are a son of a bitch, though.
Oh, yeah. Tonberries are
and they
are
give
very
you
evil.
no experience and 1 AP. And they take like 25 minutes to beat.
Yep, and you need to kill 27 of them in a row in order to get the Tonberry Guardian Force.
Yeah, that's and there's a tower that I don't remember what the tower is called, but there's a tower where that's all you fight are Tonberries. So,
Have fun.
Aaron posted some stuff about that mysterious girl, but we'll talk about that later because I feel like that gets revealed in the scenes with the orphanage. So we're going to stock that up for next show. I can't tell you when the next show is going to be. Disc 2 is probably going to take a while, so it might be a month before we do another one of these shows. But let me see if we had any emails quick about this. I forgot to pull that up. So,
Oh yeah, I guess we could talk. What's your guys' go-to team so far?
I'm more of the Irving. Of course, you got Squall, and then I like to throw in Renoa in there. I like the random dog encounters. I'm a canine lover. You know, I like Angelo Rush. You guys don't know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It's Renoa's Limit Break.
Yeah. I don't use Renoa, so I don't really use that too well.
Irving, Squall, Renoa.
I stick with guys. Irving, Zell, and Squall.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
I use Squall, Quistis, and Selfie.
Selfie, really?
Selfie's Limit Break is actually pretty awesome.
What is hers?
Selfie's Limit Break is really good in low level because for some reason the chance of getting a spell, because what it is it's like a slot machine where you have a reroll option and a cast option.
Uh-huh.
So every time you hit reroll, you'll get a spell and a number of times it's cast. So you can get between 1 and 3 casts of the spell, and then a list of spells that changes as you level up. So there's like a 20% chance on each reroll at level 7 that you'll get the full life spell, which is like ridiculously powerful in any situation where you get into a little bit of trouble. You just have her in her Limit Break, and
Definitely
then
used her
just
first Diablos.
cast full heal. Yeah. And then Questus I use because her blue magic, you can get almost all of them right at the beginning of the game with card modding. So you can have Barrier and like Bad Breath and like all these really high end blue magics, and you can get them right away. So
I need to spend some time at Disc 1 just pounding up my Guardian Forces and like refining shit, because I never really did that in the past, so I want to experience that aspect of the game this time around.
And it gets you so powerful so fast once you get the cards and the items that you need.
I don't think I'm going to get 1,200 cards, but that's just a stupid amount of cards. I mean, even if you're taking how many cards do you play with? 6?
5.
Five.
Even if you're taking 5, you're playing hundreds of card games.
Yeah.
And each card game takes about 2 minutes. That's just ridiculous.
17 hours. That's what he said he's at.
Jeez,
But
that's nuts.
one little pro tip that I found, especially if you have, like, because I only have, you guys might be doing it different, but I only have 3 sets of magic, so 3 people will be fully stocked on stuff, and then the other 3 will have absolutely nothing on them.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use the junction switch ability, to junction everything from one person. So if they have HP junction with Curaga, they'll have the 3,000 hit points. When you junction that to somebody who has nothing equipped, their max HP will increase, but their current HP will stay the same.
Yeah.
So if you have Squall at 500 hit points, and then you junction everything onto him to bring him up to 3,000 max...
He stays at 500.
He'll stay at 500, and it'll instantly put him in the limit break.
Oh.
So you can use that to have key people in limit breaks at the beginning of key fights, so that you can cast certain spells or abilities that you really want to get off.
I was going to say, I always have to just keep track of, like, Squall is always tied to Rhinoa. I have Irving tied to Selfie, and Zell tied to Quistis, and I only junction them back and forth, so when you have to switch parties...
I do a similar strategy.
Yeah, that's kind of how I do it too, but yeah, try that if you're having trouble with a boss or something, or if there's ever a fight where you don't think you're strong enough to do it. Just game the limit breaks that way, and it's just so much easier.
So we've got one email here. I kind of sent this out a little late that we were doing this show today, so people didn't get a chance to write in. But we will be doing 2 more shows, so if you want to write in, factorysealed@manatank.com. Jay Jorgensen writes in, and I feel like his opinion is reflective of a lot of people. He said, I once started playing Final Fantasy VIII, but after the first disc, I got way too bored to finish it. Is there something wrong with me? I enjoyed the hell out of Final Fantasy VI and will always consider 7 to be one of the best games ever made, regardless of really terrible polygons and whatnot. Hopefully these episodes inspire me to replay the game again and give it a fair shot like your show for Final Fantasy VI did. No, I don't think there's anything wrong with you. I think you fall right in line with a lot of people's viewpoints, but you got to know how to play the game.
Keep plugging, Jay.
Yeah.
Just get back and play it. Get through that first disc.
Just use a walkthrough, man. Like they're great resources.
They are. Mm-hmm.
I feel like Jess and I talked about this on our Suikoden show, though, but I feel like using a walkthrough, I become so dependent on that I don't develop my own strategy and my own characters.
But for 8, I feel like you kind of need to. You kind of need to have those little tips, like how to junction and what to look for early on, because it sets you up for the rest of the game. And once I found out that I started using the guide at the beginning of the game just to see for any secrets, if there were any secrets that I was missing. But I found myself using it less and less. Like, by the end of Disc 1, I was only going back to just say, oh, well, let's just see what the guide's opinion is on this.
Yeah.
So you do develop your own opinion.
Like, what's this boss weak against? And I use it to make sure I don't miss any of the Guardian Forces.
That's my big reason.
There's a few that I still always forget where they're at.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's kind of frustrating for newer players, especially if you don't use the draw system a lot, is that you can just straight up miss Guardian Forces because you forget to draw on a certain fight.
And if you miss it, it's done. There's no chance of going back.
You can't get it back. It's gone forever.
Used a walkthrough, and I feel like I should. Because
I've got a walkthrough of just the Guardian Forces. I can send that to you, where it doesn't spoil anything. It just tells you this is when you get this one, and this is how you get it. Like Carbuncle. If you didn't know to draw off the Iguions, you'd miss Carbuncle.
Yeah, if you're not looking for like a full walkthrough, like check out a junction walkthrough and check out the Guardian Force and maybe even a card walkthrough so that you can see which people to challenge to get certain cards. But I mean, this is a game where you can just completely ignore a story walkthrough and you can learn enough that you'll be able to play the game to an extent where it's not tedious and it doesn't seem like a challenge.
Yes.
Well, not that it doesn't seem like a challenge, but not that it's so challenging that it makes you want to stop playing, like a lot of people seem to say.
Yeah. It is overwhelming at the beginning, but like Derek said, just plug through it, and it eventually just kind of snaps into place, and everything becomes a ton of fun. So send us an email with either how you're playing through it, what your thoughts on it so far are. I'd like to hear if anybody else has a different mentality. Until Kevin said that he was doing a low-level playthrough, I'd never imagined anybody doing that because... like Derek said, RPGs, generally the bosses, you wander, or like Kevin said, you wander into areas that are too powerful for you. But if you've got a different way you're playing it, like if you're going solo, one person only, awesome, let's hear it.
Yeah, apparently that's possible too. You can do a solo Squall, no level up, no junction run.
Oh, shit.
Which I don't even want to begin to understand how that's even done.
These people are nuts. So Disc 2 will be coming down the pipeline. Again, like I said, probably a little bit later. So, Kevin, where can we find you on Twitter?
You can find me at Dinner Dangles.
Jess?
I am a Jess.
You can find me at Honest Pizza. Derek, are you on Twitter?
I think I am.
Do you tweet anything?
I don't, so don't worry about it. I'll follow some people, and I'll use to look at news.
Derek will read your Twitter.
Send me a letter at 366. I'm just kidding.
Old correspondence. That's going to do it for our show this week. We don't really have anything on the docket coming up. We might do a show next week or the week after. Keep an eye on our Facebook page or one of us on Twitter, and we will let you know. So, if you watched us live, thank you for tuning in. Otherwise, we will catch you all next time.
Bye.